Yesterday we began the speech, the Sichot of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which is found in Likuti Sichot Daled, the fourth book of Likuti Sichot. And we explained a little bit about this holiday of Yud Beit and Yud Gimel Tammuz, and how it is so very earth-shaking and important for all the Jewish people. All the Jewish people. So what happened? The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, was in communist Russia. Communism took over Russia, I don't know, 1917, 19, whatever. In 1920, they really had their fangs into everybody. They really started getting organized. Then there started all these, what's called the purifications and purges and things like that. Exact history of Russia, I don't know what it did it, but Stalin eventually killed all of like the officers in the army, the high officers, anybody that he thought might pose any sort of threat in any way to him. He just killed everybody, which is very practical, way of getting rid of your enemies, but it's not a very practical way of bringing progress to your country. But nevertheless, that's what he did. And he took one of the biggest enemies was the Lubavitcher Rebbe. The Lubavitcher Rebbe actually conducted and he led a huge outwork, a huge network of secret underground schools and schooling and providing mikvahs for women and shochatim to provide food, kosher food, meat, and mohalim to circumcise children. And all of this was under the threat of death. If a teacher was teaching children, they would kill him, throw him into Siberia. The children would be sent to an orphanage. The parents would be put into prison, sent their children. A person who did a circumcisions, and what's the question? He would be punished immediately, right? Punished immediately, probably would never see him again. Synagogues, places to pray. And nevertheless, the Rebbe managed not only to provide all this, but also to provide money for all this. Where was money? Who had money? It was forbidden to have money in those days. And all of this Hasidim worked with tremendous self-sacrifice for absolutely no remuneration. Many of them, most of them, nobody even knows where they are. They don't even know where they're buried. Right? But nevertheless, he kept Judaism going in Russia. He kept Judaism going in Russia in a big way. Listen, there were others that also did it, but in a very, very small, private way. Maybe they succeeded in educating children. Very, very difficult. And the Rebbe actually defied it. Anyway, finally, the Rebbe was put into prison. He was sentenced to death. And the first night, he wasn't killed for some strange reason. And it just got all confused. And the Rebbe got released. He got released from prison a little bit less than a month after he was arrested and he was tortured and he was beaten and he was suffered over there. And anyway, he was released. How he was released was totally not comprehensible. It was incomprehensible. How it was that he got released from Stalinist Russia. I mean, anybody over there could have just killed him and say, "I'm sorry, he died he got into a fight with somebody. One of the prisoners killed him. He got sick. A million things they could have said because he was totally hidden. And Stalin killed up to 50 million people. 50 million. Look it up in Google. 50 million of his own people he killed. Some people say it wasn't so bad. He only killed 20 million. It's okay. So I'm sorry if I slandered poor Stalin that it wasn't 50, it was only 20 million people. He killed his own people. He was from Georgia. He killed people from Georgia, what do you call it? His own people he killed. Anyway, how he did not kill the Rebbe is totally incomprehensible. But not only did he not kill the Rebbe, not only did he not kill him, he actually helped him to get out. And we'll see how this began. We talked about this last time. They told the Rebbe on the first day of Tammuz that he was not going to be in prison anymore. They were going to release him to exile, 3 years. And he said, how am I going to get there? So we're going to go by train. When am I going to arrive? Friday night. It's Friday night, it's Shabbos. I'm not going. So they said, well, there's no such thing. You got to go. He says, I'm not going. I'm not going to get on the train. I'm not going to go. I'm not traveling on Shabbat. But they wanted him to leave. And so he said, okay, you know what? You want to stay? He said, yeah, I'll stay. I'll stay in the prison. I'll stay in the prison and I'll leave on Sunday. And that's what it was. He was really freed on the last day of Sivan. And instead, he stayed another 3 days and he got out on Gimel Tammuz, third day of Tammuz. That's when he left the prison. So it says, if so, it means that he forced them to do what he wanted. I hope I'm recording this yet. Yeah. To them Sipur, to the story, had the Rebbe Moshiach given, he added on as a chassid. There was one of his chassidim of the previous Rebbe called Rav Michal Dvorkin, is in Kostroma Eingekon. He himself traveled to this place called Kostroma. Kostroma was like far in the eastern part of Russia, far and terrible place. They said that in the summer it was unbearably hot. In the winter it was incredibly cold. The people were very primitive over there. Nevertheless, when the Rebbe arrived, it says that they gave him tremendous honor when he arrived. That the people saw he was a holy man. Anyway, this Chassid Michal Dworkin, he went across Terma as he came there before the Rebbe. He heard that the Rebbe was going to go, and he went there before the Rebbe. In them side, in that time, in the 3 days, whatever, that the Rebbe was there, hat Rab Michal zusammen geklieben Ingelech. He gathered together children, und mit and with them, gerindet a cheder. Seems that there were Jewish children that lived there, and he made a school for learning. Now, exactly when he got there, I don't know. I have to figure this out, exactly how it was, because the Rebbe only knew on Thursday, and the Rebbe didn't want to travel there because he would travel on Shabbat. So when he let the Hasidim know that he was going to go to Kostroma, I don't know. The only thing I can figure out is maybe this Dvorkin, he went there immediately after Shabbat. Maybe he caught a train immediately after Shabbat, and that the Rebbe, he arrived on Sunday in the nighttime. So it could be that he arrived there a few hours before. I don't know. I'll have to figure this out. In any case, he arrived before the Rebbe, and he established over there a place of learning. And he saw as Menzel Farichten the mikveh. He saw that there was a mikveh there. It must have been a Jewish community there. So he saw he had to fix up the mikveh over there, which is also there. What does this mean? Das heißt, as the Zelba pool is the same things for welcha mehat dem Rebbe, for which the Rebbe was arrested and for mishpat, and he was sentenced to death, and by means of all sorts of efforts of the Hasidim in America and other places. Especially there was one Hasid, his name was Reb Mordechai Dubin in Latvia, that he really helped to get the Rebbe out. It was often nisi in a miraculous way, hat men dem Urteil verbieten oif dreyor, that the punishment, they only with great difficulty did they manage to change that punishment to exile. In other words, the same crimes for which the Rebbe was sentenced to death, and only by a miracle was it changed to exile. The Zelber Arbet, the same thing, hat getan bald beim Aroisgehen from Tefisa. This is immediately, Michal Dworkin was there, says immediately when the Rebbe got out of prison and he arrived in this place, he immediately started the same thing that he was in prison for, the same crime, immediately after he left. Noch erder Even more, even before he came to the city of Kastrama. Shalach laharos lefanav Goshen, like it says that Yaakov sent Yehuda into Egypt in order to establish over their places of learning before the Jews came there. Hoterim Geschicht, a shliach, he sent his messenger, Erzal Dort, grinden a cheder, he would make a cheder, und verrichten a mikvah, Rabbim, and make a mikvah for the multitude. So what do we see? That the Rebbe not only did it not stop him, and he said, okay, I better keep things in quiet. Even more, his Hasidim arrived in this place where he was, and they started immediately working with the Jewish children that were there. Sipurim wegen Mo'oros was haben passiert, stories regarding things that happened to a leader of the Jewish people, and especially as hatim nach Iber that the Rebbe told the story over. It wasn't that somebody else told the story. The Rebbe told the story. It means that he wants us to learn something from the story. Just to stress, there's a lot of Jewish leaders, and a lot of very good Jewish leaders. But all of those Jewish leaders, they lead their group, people that want to come and listen to them, people who are relevant to them, that have some sort of a connection, that want to learn the messages that they have, people that have intelligence, people that want to learn Torah, people that have good hearts, they want to do the commandments, right? And the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he started this thing that to spread Judaism to every Jew, to make it available to every Jew. Jews that had nothing to do with Judaism, Jews that didn't want anything to do with Judaism, Jews that hated him, Jews that rejected totally every word that came out of his mouth. The Rebbe spread Judaism to them. That's the idea of the Moshiach. Moshiach is a Jew that he's relevant to all of the Jews, that he wants to strengthen the Torah in every single Jewish life. Even Jews that reject that, Jews that oppose it, Jews that don't know that they're Jews. And the Rebbe, not only that, he was willing to sacrifice his life for this. That the schools, underground schools that the Rebbe made, that wasn't just for Chabad children. They went around to all the Jews and they said, listen, teach your child Torah. And there were a lot of Jews that agreed, and it was under the threat of death. But the Rebbe set the example of self-sacrifice for Judaism. That is the essence of Judaism. The essence of Judaism is not the Torah, and it's not the commandments. It's not the rituals. It's not the essence of Judaism is self-sacrifice for the truth. And it happens to be that the Torah is the truth, and that the commandments are the truth. And because they are the truth and the whole basis of Judaism, and in fact, that's the basis of life. The basis of life is total devotion to something that's true, meaningful. Aina from the Horos, one of the teachings from this story is Nachdem Vi, the Rebbe Nasiador. After this, which the Rebbe opened up, this opening for self-sacrifice, Hot Geschef and Dem Weg, he opened up the way, is as a year that a Jew, beschlossed by sich, when a Jew makes a decision with a tokif gadol, with a tremendous power, as alle Verstellungen, that any the opposition, anything that deters him, or if a nefesh elokis, from expressing his godly Jewish soul, und alle Störungen, and anything which conceals or opposes, or menios, or makes difficult, or if afatzas yadu, to spreading Judaism out, zayin ka'ina efes mamish, it should be like nothing. Don't pay any attention to it. Your job is to spread out Judaism. Such a tremendously strong decision was afilu wenn mikum zugein und mishlagd im dry mol. Even when he comes, they come and they beat him up in prison 3 times. Was dremo, which 3 times is a chazaka. It says 3 times means it's a supposition that it's going to continue. Unsi is darfon, the chiora, abavais, this is an indication that is a metzius, that his opposers beat him up 3 times. It means that they really exist. It must be there, they beat him up. Is reared him from deswegen, nevertheless, it does not move him at all from his decision, from his resolution. Firm resolve. Paul, this causes as that such a Jew was gefinzich, which is found, but is meise in leumaze, even the Jew which is found totally distant from God. There felt euch as es is da Yiddishkeit. He feels that there is Judaism, Hasidus, a Rebbe, un azoy weiter, and it's and etc. That's what we said, that this what is it, Lulav Nachmanson, one of the people that interrogated him, one of the Jews that interrogated him, he said to him, Rebbe, listen to them. Rebbe, they want. He said, oh, you're calling me Rebbe? When by him is designed Leben, his life. Bizer roofed mit him, a Peshitas Rebbe. Here we have a Jew that became a communist, a murderer, a disgusting low person that hated Judaism, that arrested the Rebbe. And when the Rebbe refused to stand up, he said to him, Rebbe, why don't you stand up? He said, oh, I'm still a Rebbe. You want? You recognize I'm a Rebbe. And there was even such a low person like this, suddenly, at least one moment, he realized that there's a Rebbe. When sof, in the end, feared der Yid durach mitatzlacha. This Jew will, that he makes a firm resolution to spread out Judaism, it will be with success. When oib netek nisi, and it'll be even in a miraculous way, nit nor the inyanim, not the main thing, nor oich the inyanim velcha zayin tefelim, even the secondary thing, which the main thing is the Rebbe wanted to get out, right? The Rebbe wanted to get out of prison. That's the main thing. But on the way, the secondary things that this evil person is not, was a Lulav or Nachman said, he suddenly recognized, wow, there's a Rebbe in the world. Rebbe. That the Rebbe said, I'm not going to travel on Shabbos. Suddenly the non-Jews realized, oh, this is a Jew with resolve. The guy's not normal. He's willing to do this just for his Shabbat. Shabbat must be something very special to the Jews, must be something very valuable. So he impressed also the non-Jews. Like it says from the Rebbe and the Rebbe Marshab, as mi is ganz nit nor mitten etzem nor oich mit der hispashtus. That we have to worry not just with our essence and our essence connection to God, but also every little detail, how it spreads out, how it influences others. With all this, gatemen arois lecherus, we can go to freedom. Biyad Rama, with a high hand, Baresh Gilei, like it says, the Jewish people went out with their upraised hand, with an upraised head, it says, Reish Gilei. Alachas kama, how much more so than a Yid, when a Jew finds himself in a matzav, was erhat meglachait, a Jew finds himself in a situation where he has the opportunity to mayfit sign to spread out Judaism. And kind of almost vestorim, that there are no difficulties. You're in Israel, you're in America, basically anywhere in the world nowadays, you can teach Judaism. Anywhere. I don't know how it goes in Syria and in the Arab countries, but at least you can certainly practice Judaism. As far as I know, you can also teach children Judaism. There's no problem. They've got no problem with that, as far as I know. Nothing like it, absolutely not even close. There's nowhere in the world that's anywhere close to what it was in Russia, in communist Russia. The Jews killed rabbis, especially if they taught children. What are you talking about? A rabbi, everybody took off their beards, they took off their yarmulkes. If you were a religious Jew, you had like one little corner in your house. Everybody was conquered by communism. There was an idea which swept over the world, right? That's so exciting and new and vibrant and promising. The whole world is going to be different, and anyone who stands on our way is standing in the way of progress and of freedom and of equality and of all these wonderful things, right? And it was just, anti-Judaism. It's something like what's going on in America now, but now it's going on from, I don't know, great, and it's all Jews that are doing it also. right? They're the big, leaders in the trans movement and all this stuff. When Adarab, exactly the opposite. Wird noch in them, you will be in this. If he pays attention to all the details in spreading out Judaism, then it will be a roiska helfen. He'll be helped. Bis as migitim sein schar nit nur that he gets reward not just in the world to come, no even in this physical world. When oib mehat nor by zich dem or if a person just makes himself a firm resolution, a Jew, as mimus durchführen dem Ebersters shlichos, that you have to do what God sent us in the world for, mivet nit nispoil, and not to be affected or to be, how do you say, discouraged from the schwierigkeiten, from the difficulties which we find. Ken men sein sicher, you can be sure, as chayfetz Hashem, that God desires, that God's desire, biyadam yatzliach, that what God wants you to do will succeed through you. Oif zu verspreiten, to spread out Torah, Nigla, and Chasidus, to spread out the Torah and Chasidut. Now, you have to, I think it's very important to understand something. Now in the world, especially, in the world, right, you have like in America, I sort of am keeping up with it, not too much, but everything is like crumbling apart. There's no values anymore. There's no absolute values. Everybody, the only absolute value that there is now, and they're trying to make, the only absolute value is that there's no values. That's the absolute value. The absolute value is absolute values are bad. It's a self-contradiction in itself. I mean, if you say there's nothing absolute, so that's also not absolute. Nevertheless, that's what it is. There's no, and they have a very good point. The fact is, they have a very good point. Like, if there is no God, then there's no absolute values. There's no absolute values. If there is no such thing as God, then there's no good and there's no bad. Right? But how do we know what God says? So that's why we have the Torah. The Torah is the only book which is even claimed, the people that really believe in this book, they claim, no one is, even every other religion has the claim that God himself gave this book to 3 million eyewitnesses. They claim it. It's not true. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it is true. I'm not saying that this proves that it's true. I'm just saying that if you do believe that it's true, then it's nothing like it. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's not true. But what are you going to believe? You're going to believe in this religion, that religion? What do they claim? They claim they got a book from some guy, came from heaven, got an awareness, got a visitation. Somebody came from the desert, all of a sudden he's got a new message for the world, right? He's the son of God, he's God's bubba, is his next door neighbor. He's got a message okay, you want to say three people, they come with a message, everybody believes. Okay. Jews, we claim that 3 million people saw face to face, panim b'panim. They saw the Creator give the Torah. They saw it. So if you want to say there's no God, that's okay. You can say whatever you want, 100%. Say there's no God. But if you want to say that there is God and he gave a Torah, so, I mean, the only ones that claim that their Torah came directly from God are the Jews. All the rest of them, they have these levels higher. And so that's why it's so necessary, if you want the world to be stable, if you want to benefit mankind, to tell everyone what exactly the Torah says, that there should be absolute values. Because if there's no such thing as absolute values, then anything goes. You can kill people, it's the beginning. There's no man, there's no woman. You can kill babies before they're born. Now it's going to be killed. In Germany, they killed anybody. They killed children with Down syndrome. They killed everybody that didn't exactly fit the idea, that they had in these airplanes. If you have a carry-on, so you have to put it into this little box. They have to see if it measured. In Germany, that's what it was. If child didn't fit into this box that they had an idea of what the Aryan is, they killed him. Old people, they killed them. What's the problem? Stalin killed 50 million people with his ideas of communism, wonderful this. Anything goes. The only thing that will bring stability and really bring true value to life is the Torah. And that's why it's so important to spread out the Torah to the Jewish people and the 7 Noahide commandments to the non-Jews. Biz azez vet zayin umalei ha'oretz, until the world will be filled with the knowledge of God like water fills the ocean. The biat Mashiach tzikenu, the core of mamash, Mashiach will come and make the whole world a valuable, precious, blessed, happy place. Every single human being will have a tremendous joy in just the fact that he's different from everybody else. He has a special job from everybody else, and his job was given to him by the Creator himself, and it's given every single moment. Nothing could be better than that, and it all depends on us. And we can learn from the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe how to do it. You might say, come on, what are you talking about? This is nonsense. There's 9 billion people in the world, and you're going to change it all? Well, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe was in a much greater odds against him. He was in a place where they didn't listen to him. They wanted to kill him. And the Jews wanted to kill him. And everyone wanted to kill him. They were all against him. And no one was excited about spreading Judaism, for sure. And if they were excited, it's certainly not like him. And nevertheless, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he succeeded. And he conquered his enemies. And we're going to see they even helped him to get out. We'll see next tomorrow. We'll learn this. Amazing. On the future redemption. Look, meanwhile, learn Isaiah chapter 43. Talks about how God will help every Jew from all the world around, and the world itself will help the Jews to come to their senses and come back to Judaism, come back to the Holy Temple. Talk about it more, God willing, tomorrow. Now, let's just learn tomorrow. We're going to learn in the afternoon, the Yom Yom. I have somebody to learn with right now. God bless you. Have a good day with Moshiach now.